For this tutorial, I'm going to be using weight 3 acrylic yarn with a 3.5mm hook. We will be making this top in the raglan style, so we are going to have a back panel, 2 shoulder panels, and a front panel that's divided into 2 because we have an opening. So the first thing you're going to want to do here is figure out how many chains you need to go across the back of your neck. Now you're going to need to find an even multiple of 6. So it can be 6 times 2 or 6 times 4 or 6 times 6 and so on, as long as it's an even multiple. So for me, I decided to do 6 multiples of 6, which is a chain 36, and I will show you how wide that is. This is going to go on the back of my neck, or this is the back of the top, and mine is about 7 inches. So you can make yours larger or smaller depending on the size that you want. So I'm just going to put 36 up here. This is going to indicate how many chains I need. So since I did 6 multiples of 6, I'm going to write 36. And now we're going to figure out the front panels. All we need to do is take 36 and divide it by 2. So that's going to be 18 each. 18 here and 18 here. So now to figure out your shoulder portion, you're going to find this number that you chose for the back, and you're going to use my guide right here. So since I chose 36, that means my shoulders need to be 24. So I made this guide for you. Depending on what even multiple you choose, you can figure out the shoulder. So again, my back was 36, so that means my shoulders need to be 24. Okay. So now that you have those numbers, we're going to add 1 to each of them. This is just how the pattern works. So we're going to do 36 plus 1, 24 plus 1, 24 plus 1, 18 plus 1, 18 plus 1. So no matter what numbers you ended up choosing, you're always going to need to add plus 1 to each of those numbers. So this is going to be 37. This is going to be 25. This is 19. This is also 19, and this is 25. Okay, now that you have all that, you need to add 1 stitch for every corner. So you're going to add 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. I'm going to circle those so you can see it easily. So this is going to be our corner stitches. So now what you're going to do is add up all of these numbers. So you're going to need 37, 25, 25, 19, 19, and then the 4 corners, which is 4. So add them all up to see what your total number of stitches is going to be. Alright, I've added mine up, and my total number of chains is going to be 129. So I'm going to chain that number and I'll meet you back here. Alright, so I have chained my foundation row, and what we're going to do is we're going to follow these number of stitches. We're going to go this way, and then we're going to go up, and then across the back, down the shoulder, and across the front. So we're going to be starting at this front panel, and I'm just going to use my numbers here as a guide, and you can do the same thing. So my first one here is 19. So that means because this first row is going to be double crochets, I'm going to go ahead and double crochet 19 before I get to this corner. So after chaining your final chain length, what you're going to do first is chain up 3. So hold that last chain with your finger and chain up 3. So this chain up of 3 is actually going to count as your first double crochet. So you're going to skip that first chain that you marked off with your finger, and you're going to go into the one after that with a double crochet. So because that chain 3 counted as my first double crochet, I now have 2. And again, I'm going to make 19 before I get to the corner, because we're going to do something different for the corners, since the corners are our expanding part. So go ahead and make your first set of double crochets according to the number that you have for your front panel. Alright, so I've double crocheted my 19, which is my front panel here. So now I'm at a corner stitch. So when you get to your corner stitch, you are going to place 1 double crochet inside. Then you're going to chain 2, And in that same corner stitch, you are going to be placing another double crochet. So this is what's going to help expand our top to flare open along our shoulders. So now that I've finished my corner stitch here, I'm going to move on to my shoulder portion, which is 25. So that means I'm going to do 25 more double crochets until I get to a corner. And then again, remember when you get to the corner, you do 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. So I'm going to finish this. I'm going to make 25 double crochets, corner, and then 37 double crochets for my back, do a corner, and then 25 again for my shoulder, and then last corner, and then finish up with 19 double crochets. So go ahead and do your top, and then I'll meet you at the end. So as you can see, once you finish this first part, you should have something that looks exactly similar to the raglan that you drafted. So here are your corners. You can see it's already naturally starting to turn at those corners. So we're just going to keep continuing working in the raglan style, and now it's time for row 1. Okay, so for row 1, we are going to turn our work and we're going to chain up 3. We're not going to do a traditional chain 3, we're going to chain up 3 starting in this first stitch. So what you're going to do here is enter your first stitch with a single crochet. So that's a chain 1, and then you're going to enter this stitch right here with another single crochet. So that's a chain 2, and then one more time. So enter this stitch right here and complete a single crochet. So this is how we're going to do our chain ups every row that we start, because it's just going to help keep our project nice and straight on the edges. So after chaining up 3 in that first stitch, you're going to chain 1 for a chain space, and then you're going to find the third double crochet. So if this was the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, you're going to do a front post double. So you're going to yarn over, you're going to insert your hook behind that post, you're going to come up the other side like this, grab your yarn, and then complete the double crochet. So that is a front post double crochet. So for row 1, you're just going to do a chain 1, and then you're going to skip a double crochet, and in the next one you're going to complete a front post double, and you're going to continue chaining 1 and skipping 1 and then completing a front post double until you get to the corner, and I'm going to show you what to do when you get to the corner. So just complete this first portion here, and then I will meet you back at the corner. Alright, so I have reached my corner here, and as you can see, it's these 2 double crochets right here with the chain 2 between them. If you counted right, you should have ended with a front post double crochet right before that corner stitch. So after you finish your front post doubles, you are going to chain 1, and inside this chain space of the corner, you're going to place a double crochet. Then you're going to chain 3, and in that same chain space, you're going to complete a double crochet. So that is your corner for round 1. Okay, so after that, you're going to chain 1. Make sure to skip this stitch right here because this is a corner stitch, and starting in the first stitch for our shoulder portion, you're going to complete your front post double. So then you're just going to continue with the pattern of chaining 1 and front post doubling until you reach your next corner. Alright, so I have reached my next corner, and I'm going to show you what to do again. I ended on a front post double right before the 2 corner stitches right here. So I'm going to chain 1, and inside the chain space you're going to place a double crochet, chain 3, and a double crochet. And then to continue on, you're going to chain 1. Make sure you skip this first double crochet because that belongs to the corner. And then in the one after that, you're going to complete your front post double crochet. And then you're just going to continue to repeat the pattern until you get all the way around and you make your way to the front of the top again. Okay, so now that you're almost at the end of row 1, you have 2 double crochets left here. So what you're going to do is just chain 1, and you're going to place a regular double crochet at the end. You're not going to do a front post, just a regular one. So go into the top of that, chain 3, and complete a regular double crochet. And that will have completed your row 1, and as you can see here, my corners are nice and marked. So now let's move on to row 2. Okay, so for row 2, what we're going to do first is chain up 3. So again, we're not going to do a traditional chain up 3. We're going to go straight into that first single crochet, or first chain after turning, and you're going to complete a single crochet. So that's chain up 1, and then go inside that stitch here, and then do a single crochet. That's 2, and then go inside the stitch one more time for a chain up of 3. So after chaining up 3, you are going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to skip this first chain space here, and into the second one, you're going to complete a single crochet. Now you're going to chain 3. And then you're going to create a puff stitch. So you're going to skip this first double crochet here, and into the second double crochet, create a puff stitch. So you're going to yarn over, insert, pull up 1, and then yarn over again, grab 2, yarn over, 3, 4, and 5, and then you are going to pull through those loops. You're going to leave one loop remaining, and then you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So skip this next chain space here, and into this next one, single crochet. Again, chain 3. Skip the next double, and into the next double, place a puff stitch. So pull up 5 loops. After pulling up 5, you're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through those loops, you're going to leave 1 loop on your hook, you're going to yarn over and chain 3. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to skip this next chain space, and into the next one, single crochet. So you get the idea, but let's work together until we get to the corner. So again, chain 3, skip this next double, and into this next one, this is going to be the last double before you reach your corner. So let's place a puff stitch into that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. You're going to single crochet into the corner. After single crocheting, chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And single crochet again into the corner chain space. Okay, so there's your new corner right there. After doing that, you're going to chain 3. You are going to skip this corner stitch right here. So that's a corner double, so you're going to skip that. And into the first double of the row, you're going to complete a puff stitch. Then chain 3. Again, skip this next chain space here, and into this one, place a single. So then the pattern just continues to repeat all the way around. Just make sure when you get to your corners, you do a single crochet, chain 4, single crochet, and then just continue with the pattern. And then I will meet you at the end. When you're almost at the end of your row here, you're going to finish it up in this way. You're going to chain 3, and you're going to place your final single crochet in the chain space. And then you have 2 double crochets left, so you're going to chain 3, and in that double crochet at the end, you're going to go on the top of the chain 3 here, and you're just going to place a regular double crochet. And that completes row 2. And as you can see, my corners are right here. So now let's move on to row 3. So for row 3, you're going to flip again, and you're going to do your chain up of 3 in that first stitch. So let me just complete my chain 3. Again, you're going to single crochet 1, and then insert single crochet again for 2, and then insert one last time for chain 3. So after chaining 3, you're going to go into the chain space right here and you're going to place a double crochet. After that, you're going to chain 3, and then you're going to find your puff stitch right here, and then on this side of the puff stitch, place a double crochet, and then chain 1 over the puff stitch, and then on the other side of the puff stitch, complete a double crochet. So to get to the other puff stitch, you're going to chain 3, double crochet on one side, chain 1, and then double crochet on the other side. Chain 3 again, double crochet here, chain 1, and then double crochet on the other side. So now that we are at our corner here, to get to this corner, you will only chain 2. So chain 2, and then you are going to double crochet into the chain space of the corner, and then you're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then double crochet again in the corner space. Okay, so to continue with the pattern, to get to this puff, after a corner and before a corner, you only chain 2. So now you're at this puff, so create a double crochet on one side, chain 1, and then double crochet on the other side of the puff. So for all the puffs along the sides, after you finish the corner, you're going to chain 3, and then create a puff, or I'm sorry, a double crochet on this side, chain 1, double crochet. So just continue to repeat this until you make your way to this corner, and remember, to get to the corner you only need to chain 2 following the last double crochet on the puff, and then to get to the puff after the corner turn you're only going to chain 2, but then everything else has a chain 3. So just continue to repeat this until you get to the end. To finish up row 3, you are going to chain 3, and in the final chain space here, place a double crochet, and then one final double crochet at the top of the chain 3 on the edge. And that will complete row 3. Okay, so to begin row 4, we are going to do a chain up of 4, and we're going to do it in the same way we've been doing so far. So you're going to flip your work, and inside the first stitch you're going to chain up 4. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now what you're going to do here is place a treble crochet into every single stitch that you see. Do not skip one or place more than one in any stitch, and then I'll show you what we do at the corner. So for a treble crochet, you're going to yarn over twice, and then you're going to go into the next stitch that you see and complete. So you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then this was a chain 3 space, so that means you're going to be placing 3 treble crochets in this one. I am working into the chains themselves, but if you prefer to work in the chain spaces, then you can do that too, but working in the stitches themselves will keep your project straighter and with less holes at the end. So that was a chain 3 space, so I added 3 there, and then I see my double here, so I'm going to place a treble in here, and then the chain 1 space is going to get a treble crochet, and then double crochet right here, and then again this was a chain 3 space, so I'm going to place a treble crochet into every single stitch. So continue to do this until you get to the corner, and I will show you what to do. So I'm almost at my corner right here, and if you recall, the chains that we made in the previous row to get to the corner is only a chain 2, so that means in this chain space before the corner I'm only placing 2 treble crochets. Okay, so now that you're at the corner space here, you are going to first place a treble crochet in the double crochet of the corner. And then in the chain space, don't worry about working in the stitches here. You're gonna go in with 3 trebles. Okay, so after your 3 trebles in the corner, chain 2, and then in the same space again, place 3 trebles. Okay, so now you've completed your corner right there. To work our way back into the body, place a treble first in the double crochet of the corner. And remember, the chain spaces before and after the corner are only 2 spaces, 2 stitches, so you only place 2 treble crochets in those chain spaces. Okay, so then from here you would just continue placing a treble crochet into every single stitch that you see. And then I've already shown you what to do when you get to the corner. Just be mindful that when you get to this corner, this is only a chain 2 space and this is only a chain 2 space. So just continue working your way around, and then I'll show you what to do when we get to the end. Okay, when you're almost done with row 4, do not forget to put a treble crochet in the chain 3 space at the end. So then that completes row 4. And as you can see here, your top is starting to take shape nicely, and it's keeping that raglan style shape all across. So from here the pattern just continues to repeat, so then you would repeat row 1, 2, 3, and 4 until you have enough for the body parts to touch around your body. So you're going to keep going until you have the body parts long enough to go around your bust and your chest. So from here you're just going to repeat row 1, and as a reminder, I'm just going to show you how to do row 1 again. So for row 1 you are going to chain up 3, so you're going to flip your work. You're going to chain up that 3 in the first stitch, and then you're going to chain 1, and then in the third treble crochet, so this is 1, 2, and 3, you're going to complete a front post double. Then you're going to chain 1, skip 1, and then complete a front post double in the next. Chain 1, and you're just going to continue to do this until you get to the corner. Okay, and then in your corner space, you're going to leave 1 double crochet right before this corner space right here. And what you're going to do here is you're going to chain 1, and in the chain space, you're going to do a double crochet. You're going to chain 3, and then another double crochet in that same chain space. So then here, you're going to chain 1. You're going to skip this double crochet right here, and then you're just going to continue to repeat with the front post doubles and chain 1. So you're going to continue to repeat this all the way around, making sure you take note of how the corners are done for this round. And you're going to continue to repeat this, like I said, until your body part is long enough to connect around our bust, because these will be the armholes right here, and this is the armhole, and then this is the body. So again, continue to repeat rows 1 through 4 and then when you have something long enough, I'll show you how to start the body. Alright, so I've done enough rows here so that when I close or when I pinch these four corners together, the armhole is big enough to fit my arm through and the body is wide enough to fit around my body. I did end on a row 2 here, so you can see I ended on the puff stitches, but you can end on any row that you like. This just happened to be the right size for my arm, and I also like how it looks as the final row for the arm because it looks like it has a nice little trim right here. So now once you have the length that you need and the size that you need, you're just going to continue along with the pattern, except you're only going to be working in the body and we're going to be excluding the arms at this point. So let me show you how to do that. So basically you're going to go back around and start whatever row you left off on. For me, I stopped on a row 2, so that means I'm going to repeat row 3, but I'm just going to completely skip the arm portion. So I'm going to do the body and then I'm going to connect it to the back of the body and make my way around. I'm going to skip the arm portion and I'm going to make my way to the front of this side. So let me show you how to do that. So again, I did end on a row 2, so I'm going to begin row 3. So for row 3, you're supposed to chain up 3, and I'm going to do my chain up in that first chain like always. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and then double crochet in the chain space, chain 3, and then double crochet on one side of the puff stitch, chain 1, double crochet. Again, for this part you're going to want to do whatever row you left off on so that the pattern continues. I'm repeating row 3 because I left off on a row 2. So just continue your pattern until you get to the corner space right here, and then I'm going to show you how to skip the arm and work your way onto the back of the body. Alright, so I've finished making my stitches in the front of my panel here, and I have reached this corner piece right here. So what I'm going to do is, since this corner piece starts the arm, I'm going to skip this entire portion. So if your project is laid flat like this, you're going to skip the first corner, and then this is the arm, so skip this entire panel, and then pick up again after the next corner. So here's the next corner right here for me, and I'm going to pick up with my pattern starting here. So I'm not doing anything different here. So for row 3, I just finished my double crochet, chain 1, double crochet over the puff stitch, and then I'm just going to continue with the pattern. I'm not doing any corners, so that means I'm going to chain 3 again and then grab this chain space right before the next puff stitch, and I'm going to continue with a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. So depending on what row you're working on, you're just going to do exactly that. You're just going to continue to repeat the pattern with no special stitches for the corners, and that's going to make sure that our front and back are connected, and that means we're going to be skipping the arm. So I'm going to continue this pattern along the back piece of my top, and then I'm going to show you how to do that skip again when I get to the next corner. Okay, so I've made my way around the back here, and I've reached a corner here that begins my arm portion, so that means I'm just going to skip that portion. So I just finished doing a double crochet over my puff, so that means I'm just going to continue with the pattern, chain 3, skip this entire portion for the arm, and then start on the pattern after this corner. So here's my corner right here, and I'm just going to complete my double crochet in that first puff. And then from here, you would just go ahead and finish your pattern or whatever row you're working on. Alright, so once you reach the end of the row, you should have something that looks like this. So you can see that the front and back of the bodies are now connected, and you have this nice little armhole. So I'll show you on this side too, just like that. And from here, the pattern is super simple. It's going to continue to repeat, except you're just going to be working around the body portion now. You're going to leave the arms alone, and you're just going to pick off on the row you left off of until your top is the length that you want it. So for me, I'm going to pick up on the row 4, and then I'm just going to continue to repeat rows 1, 2, 3, and 4 until I get the size that I like. When you get to your joining chains here that connects the front and the back of the body, you're just going to work like normal the row that you're working on. So I'm working on the row of treble crochets, so that means in each of these chains I'm just going to place a treble crochet. So whatever row you're working on, work as if you're not doing anything different, you're not doing anything for the corners, you're just continuing with the pattern like normal. So as you can see here, I'm just placing one treble crochet in every single chain for that joining chain, and then the pattern just goes on and on. See? Alright, as you can see here, I've crocheted enough rows for my desired length, and I did end on the row with puffs, but again, you can end on whatever row you like. So the final measurements for my top, across the body, it is about 13 inches, and again, this is without stretching it because it will stretch over my body. And then for the height, it is about 9.5 inches. So make yours however according to your body. And then now it's time to make the straps. And because these straps are customizable, because you can put them at the top or the middle or the bottom, we're not going to attach the straps to the actual top. We're going to make it separately and just loop it through the edge of our top. Okay, so to make the top, you're going to create a slip knot, but what you're going to do first is leave a really long tail. So for me, I left the tail that is as wide as my wingspan, so I just stretched my arms out, and this was the end of that right here. And then to this, I am actually going to start the slip knot. Okay, so this is your tail side, and this is your working yarn. We are going to take the tail side, and we're going to loop it up over our hook like this, and then we're going to grab our working yarn and pull through both of those loops. Again, drape your tail above your hook and then pull the working yarn through. Put the tail up on the hook, pull the yarn through. Tail on the hook, pull working yarn through. Tail on the hook, pull working yarn through. So tail on the hook, working yarn through. This gets easier as your chain gets longer, but basically you would just continue to do this until you run out of the tail yarn. If you need it longer, then obviously go make a tail longer than your wingspan, but I found that my wingspan works perfectly for the tail length. So it's super simple. You just take the tail and you lift it up, and then you pull the working yarn through. So I'm just going to continue this until I have no more tail left. Okay, so when you're nearing the end of your tail here, I'm just going to do as much more as I can. So I'll probably fit one more in, and then I'm just going to chain one at the end, and I'm going to cut off that excess yarn. So when you get to this end, you're just going to pull it really tightly so it doesn't move, and then you can cut off those ends. So now that you have your strap, you can just attach it to the loops on any part of the top. I decide to go at the top when I want a cardigan style, and then once you have it up on there, you just tie a little ribbon. So when you would wear this, you have a little ribbon that closes right at the top. And again, like I said, this top's fully customizable, so if you want to make another ribbon and you want to put it in the middle and then you want to put one on the end, it's completely up to you. It all depends on your preference, but that is the end of the tutorial, and I hope you all liked it. And if you did, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.